Right, someone asked on my last video if I could do a video on tents, shelters packed up. So I have a little bit of spare time this morning, so I thought I'd shoot a video on all the shelters that I have and how I pack them and how I store them, tent pegs, you know, everything like that. Now, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to work this. I've just put everything in my conservatory, so we'll probably just wing it and sort of make it up as we go along. Right, this is the next day. It was hammering with rain earlier, so I stopped. I bought loads and loads of pegs for the simple reason that I wanted individual pegs for individual shelters. So I've got loads in there of these and loads in here of these, but after a little while, and I've got one of these of course and one of these, probably may not use that one, and these are the pegs that came with the Hilleberg Staika or Staika. So but what I've done is I've sort of narrowed all the pegs down into 3 packs. Right, so I've just taken them out. So this is the Trailstar pack. So I have 3 of the 9-inch Easterns, 2 of these large titanium V pegs, 2 of these slightly smaller titanium V pegs, and 3, I think 3 in there, of these small pegs, and that's the Trailstar pack that I've made up. This is my SuperTarp collection. So I have 2 9-inch Easterns for the top and bottom, or head and tail, 2 of these large titanium pegs, 2, 4, looks like 5 of the smaller titanium pegs, in fact 6, I knew there would be 5, didn't make sense, 6, there's another one there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the smaller pegs, and that lot should come to 16, because for the SuperTarp there are, well, I'm using 16 of the tie-out points when I pitch it, so that's why there's 16 pegs there. This pack here is for the Duomid and ultimately of course the SuperMid. So here I've got 2 of the 9-inch Easterns. I did have 4, but I've swapped 2 out for these bigger titanium pegs, and I've got 2 of these, and then I've put in 4 of these. The reason why I've got 4 extra pegs in here is so I can peg out the inner, and obviously it's handy to have these if ever I needed them anyway. So that's my pack for the Duomid and SuperMid, SuperTarp, Trailstar, and both Trailstars. This is the extension piece that Ron sends out, which you would use or could use on the Duomid, but you cannot use that on the SuperMid. Right, I made some inquiries and the best way for the SuperMid is with extending poles, and I have two here. This is a titanium piece that someone on Facebook sent me, and this is an aluminium pacer pole piece that pacer pole sent me. So I haven't tried this piece yet. You've seen this in a video, so this one will get tried soon. So I just attached this just so you can see what they look like. So I've used the pacer pole piece. So what you do is you leave out the two heads. You don't use those, and then with this middle section you then attach the two lower sections on to each end. And obviously I've got them quite short here, but then you could extend them to the length that you need, hopefully for the SuperMid. And then of course you have the ends at each end, so you need to remember to put your bungs on. Certainly one end, but I would do both ends so your pole doesn't stick through your roof, otherwise you'd have a chimney. So that's how I'll be trying the SuperMid again another time. Right, as I've used this Staika, and I have the Scarp 2 for comparison, I think it's fair to put them here. So this is the Hilleberg. This will, in all honesty, squish down a lot more than this. So even though it's in a big bag, that will get smaller. This is the Trailstar, not the Cuben Trailstar. That's the Silnylon Trailstar in a Cuben stuff sack, and that is the SuperMid. So as you can see, the SuperMid packs down quite compactly. Now I'm just going to come back over to these two here just a minute. This is all the pegs in, or poles in here for the Hilleberg, and these are the poles for the Scarp 2. One is the central looped pole, and then the other two are the crossover poles. And this is my selection of pegs for the Staika. Again, I've kept some of the original pegs, but I have swapped in some of the titanium, small titanium pegs, and some of the 9-inch nails as well. So I could probably bring out some of these and put in some of those 6-inch, very you know, the little pegs, because I think they're pretty good, those little ones. So that's the pegs for that. I don't have pegs for this. I do, and obviously I bought pegs, and I bought many of these. These probably actually came, these are probably the ones from there perhaps. But the pegs that fit the Duomid and the SuperMid are also the correct number of pegs for this. So again, I'm using pegs for various shelters. So again, if I was to take this, I would just take the Duomid peg bag to cover that. If I was taking this, I would take this peg bag. If I was taking the Trailstar, either of the Trailstars, I would of course take the Trailstar peg bag. So everything, so they all have their own peg bags. The only one that so far I haven't put pegs out for, and it's not particularly material at the moment because I probably won't be using it for a while, Grace Solo tarp. Because that uses, I think it's 6 or 8 pegs, and I've got plenty of spare for that. So I'll just show you that, and then I'm going to have a cup of tea and I'll be back. Right, so what I'm going to do is, if I just move the Scarp 2 over there with its poles, and if I move the Hilleberg over there with its pegs. That clears that out of the way. And its poles, get those out of the way. So we'll put that there, and we'll probably bring it all back later on to compare it. We'll sort of see how we get on. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to work this at the moment. All of Ron's tents, or tarps, shelters, come in a variety of stuff sacks, and within an inch of their lives, most of them are of a similar size. You know, there's not a lot. This one admittedly is what, you know, an inch shorter perhaps, a tiddly bit narrower. I mean, there's nothing in it. I couldn't tell you which one came with which, because I must admit I tend to put things into Cuben stuff sacks, Ron's of course. So I don't know which one of which is those. These I do know which one's which. That would be the Solo, the Grace Solo tarp, and that small one there is the Poncho, and this big one here, of which I have a couple of big ones, so this may not be the actual one, but this is for the SuperMid. But as I say, you don't need a big one. Pardon me. You don't need a large stuff sack for the SuperMid, because you can get it into the same size as these. So that's the stuff sacks. Now on a blog post a while ago, I wrote about Cuben fibre and how I store it and care for it. This is how I store it. When I bought my PhD Peter Hutchinson Designs sleeping bags, which I hang up in my cupboard wardrobe, the sleeping bag comes with these stuff sacks for storing at home. So because the sleeping bags are hanging up, I put my Cuben shelters in them so that they are not compressed in any way, shape or form. So in this one is the Trailstar and the Duomid. That's that one. And in this one down here, and in fact it looks like I've got a stuff sack in there as well. In here is the Grace Solo tarp, the SuperTarp and the Poncho, and they're all in there, you know, as loose as I can get them. Right, what I want to do here is just to show you how I pack Cuben fibre. Silnylon stuffs in very, very easily. Cuben fibre, if you've never used it before, it doesn't stuff in very well. It doesn't compress as easily as Silnylon. So the way that I've discovered is the best way of packing it is to get your stuff sack and sort of get an approximate width of the Cuben, and once you've got that, roll it and try and keep it somewhere within the width of the bag, like that, approximately. This actually is not rolled up at all well. And then when you've got it rolled up, you can then stuff it in. And as I say, it should have been rolled properly. And if it's, sorry, you can't see. And then if it's rolled properly, then fits in nicely. So the best way to put Cuben into a stuff sack is to roll it to the width of the stuff sack. If it's Silnylon, as I say, just stuffs in easily, and I did that with the SuperTarp, rolled it up to the width. This is the Silnylon SuperMid. This is the Cuben Duomid. This is the Silnylon Trailstar. This is the Cuben Trailstar. That's the SuperTarp. That's the Grace Solo tarp. That's the Poncho, and then of course that's the Scarp 2, and that's the Hilleberg Staika or Staika. So that's how they all compare. That's my neighbour doing up his leaves or something, so excuse that racket in the background. So that's how they all match up. So obviously the two Solo here are much smaller, but frankly the other ones, there's nothing really in it. And even though this is in the Super is in a large pack, you know, it does stuff down to these pack sizes here. So you know, there's not a lot in that. Bess wants to come in, so I'd better go and rescue her. And I hope this has been of some help, and catch you again. Thanks. Bye bye.